But Lori, did you want to jump right into some of the introductions and we can start with David?
For sure, yeah. And I thought David has, we were chatting with David a week ago, and he shared a really good story about his, one of his early career moments that was kind of pivotal for him. And I thought, for a number of us, as we're starting out on this career journey, I thought maybe we could take a page or two from David's book. So maybe I'll have you tell us a little story to get started, David.
Early in my career, I was fired, rehired, and promoted all in the same day. And the firing part was self-inflicted. I was out on a Thursday or Wednesday night, and it was a little bit late by the time I came home, and for some reason I couldn't get up for that 8 o'clock alarm. But I did make it for 9:15, being a Rotarian, 9:20. And when I got there, as soon and it was actually in Blythe, the old mill in Blythe. Anybody's ever been there? I was responsible for pulling sheepskin wool off of rugs. It was a labor-intensive job, but it got me to where I am today. I just learned that I didn't want to do that for very long. Anyways, when I was there, the owner of the property drove around his Rolls Royce. And anybody knows Blythe, it's a population of a couple hundred people. And if you see a Rolls Royce, you know it's Frank. And so Frank was apparently there before I got there to work, and he asked where I was, but also there was a couple other buddies that were with me that didn't show up to work that morning. And I came to work and they said, just want to let you know, Frank was here and he said, you're fired. And I said, well, just to let you know, I got up today. Yes, I'm late and I apologize, but I've got nothing to do but put in my full day's work and I'm staying. So I stayed and I worked through the entire day. And lo and behold, at 4 o'clock, Frank drives up. And he walks up to me and he said, I thought I fired you today. And I said, you have every right to, but I also got up to give you a day's work. And I gave you that. And he said, you know what? Nobody's ever done that for me. You're back on. And I'm looking at starting a night shift. And would you be my foreman? So if you approach it right, things happen. But I'm really looking forward to this mentoring opportunity tonight because I've learned as a young person. I was fortunate because there was an early retirement in the insurance company I was working for. And at 24, I became the district manager for 5 counties that we had over 20 offices and we had 40 staff, 24 years of age. Just let that ring out there. And in the insurance industry, it's filled with old people. And so myself, starting off at 24, I had some incredible mentors who just helped me. When I fell down, they picked me up, they brushed me off, they even told me what to try to avoid, which I didn't do very often, but I just listened to them. And I can tell you tonight, Michael's presentation on the importance and the value and finding the right mentor is really, really important. And look forward, I always enjoy Michael's presentations, always enjoy our chat, Michael, and really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great evening. Thank you again for coming tonight.
My pleasure. Good story, David. Well, it's good to be with you, everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation. We're going to talk today about something I wish I would have had when I was your age, which is someone to open doors for me. I thought I was doing okay at the time, but looking back, I sure was missing those kinds of opportunities. And when I was a kid, you looked to find one mentor, and I've learned since then you could have several mentors. You could have a dozen mentors, and during the course of your life, you may have 24 mentors, right? So I'm a fairly older gentleman now, and I still have mentors that I work with. I'm always looking to sign people up that might be able to point me in the right direction, even at my ripe old age. So once you learn and acquire this skill, it just never goes away. I'm inspired by Miles Davis, everybody, the trumpet player, who did pretty well for himself. I think if you know anything about music, you know that he was a pioneer jazz trumpeter. He practically founded a jazz style called bebop. And a lot of people say, well, Miles came from a privileged background. His dad was a dentist. He attended Berklee School of Music, didn't graduate, by the way, either left or got kicked out, depending on who you talk to. And my point is that Miles got a real early start in life because he was such a good musician. When people came to St. Louis, people like Duke Ellington and other famous musicians, erstwhile mentors, came to St. Louis. Miles got asked to sit in with the band. So he met all these guys at age 17. And here's the first thing I want you to write down today. I hope you all have pens. Write this down. You only have to meet somebody one time to say that you know them. And so your goal should be right now to meet as many people as you can, as fast as you can. Just connect with them. And I'll be sharing some tips for that with you for getting that done in very short order. It's kind of like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, because you're all wearing the magic slippers right now, but you don't know it. You have all these tools available to you. One of them is a simple telephone. And yet we're reluctant to use the phone for various reasons. So I hope to help you not only rediscover the telephone and other tools tonight, but I'll even show you techniques that I use to use the phone even now to connect with mentors. This is an important topic, everybody, this idea of being 18 or 19 or 22 or 26 or 28 or 32 years old and being able to think ahead. All of you can think back 5 years with no problem, 10 years with no problem, but very few people are able to think ahead a year or 2 years with any kind of certainty, with any kind of clarity. It's just so hard to predict the future. And yet, the great Jim Rohn said that you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang around with most. That should have you rethinking your list of friends, right? I mean, think about this. If you hang around with people who don't care about money, you are not likely to care about money. Not that money's the be all and end all. If you hang around with 5 people that don't take care of themselves health-wise, you're not likely to become a healthy person. You'll have their kind of lifestyle. You with me? If you hang around with people who don't read, the odds of you reading a book and sharing the contents of it with them are slim to none. So we are who we hang around with. And so this idea of trying to do better with that mix is very helpful. I would never tell you to say goodbye to the friends that aren't serving you well, but I would suggest that you say hello to them less frequently. There's only 24 hours in a day, everybody. And if you want to trade up, you're going to have to start spending time with people who have more nutritional value for you. There is a Zoom tray, a system tray in the bottom of your screen. It says reactions. Would you all click on it, please? It'll open up a bunch of things that you can, signals that you can send. One of them is called the thumbs up. Could you just click the thumbs up if you're hearing me right now? And it's good practice anyway. If you hear something you like, thank you very much, Shira. You'll notice there is no thumbs down in the systems tray. You will not be disagreeing with me during this call. So feedback is good, head nod is good. And these are, by the way, good signals to send your mentor after we get you hooked up with one, is that when your mentor talks to you, they want a sign of life. And there are easy things that you can do. You're like nodding your head and smiling, right? So I'm going to show you a combination platter right now that will serve you very, very well. And you can use this in school because you become the teacher's pet very quickly with these techniques. So you can see in view, and I can see you in view right now. I can see everybody that's looking at me, right? I want you to get a little smile on your face. I don't want you to show me any teeth, but I want you to curl the corners of your mouth up just a little bit. Maho's got it. Just a little bit. Helen's got it. There you go. So it's like a little smile, like you know something I don't know, or that you're buzzed. Either one works for me. And then I want you to nod your head just slightly, just a little bit like this, right? And when you do them both together, it looks like this. Do it with me. And see the eye contact? If you're looking into the lens of your camera, I feel like you get me, man. And if you get me, how do you think I treat you? I treat you preferentially. And I can tell you, your teacher feels the same way. If you never establish eye contact with the teacher, if you never write anything down, they don't move towards you, all right? And then when you go to appeal your C-, they're like, you haven't paid attention to me all semester, man. What are you doing in here? So this idea of showing people that you're interested in what they're saying is really, really important. And that's one of those concepts about thinking ahead. So look, there are 3 tenses, basically: past, present, and future. I've talked about all 3 of them already, that we look back very easily. We can't look ahead that well. The present is the most important, but we need to think like we're playing chess, not checkers. Two great movies on the internet lately. One is The Queen's Gambit. Thumbs up if you've seen The Queen's Gambit. And the other one is the Bobby Fischer movie, The Pawn, something about the pawn. They're easy to find. You don't have to understand chess to watch either movie. But the movies are about thinking 5 moves ahead. This is really important, not only when finding a mentor, but in life, thinking 5 moves ahead. And it works, it can work in reverse too, right? I always tell people, 5 mistakes in a row, the world is very unforgiving. The world forgives 1 mistake and 2 in a row. But if you make 5 mistakes in a row, you are cooked. So we've got to learn this idea about thinking ahead. There are lots of sports analogies for this. Wayne Gretzky used to say, skate where the puck is. Tom Brady doesn't throw to his wide receiver. He throws to where the wide receiver is supposed to be, right? And in chess, we think 5 moves ahead, not checkers, which is only 1 or 2 moves ahead. So it's a much different strategy. It's really important. I know that most of you right now are immersed in the present tense. There's a pandemic. You're working at your first or maybe second job. You're trying to finish your degree, get out of school. You're interviewing, right? The present is super important. It always will be. So this idea of being able to juggle juggling's right. 3 things in 2 hands or 2 things with 1 hand. 2 tennis balls with 1 hand is juggling. And it's not easy to juggle. It's not easy to keep all those balls in the air, but this is the next purpose. So think about this. You're working your first job now. Maybe you just started it 6 months ago. You should already be thinking about your next job. Not to cheat your current employer, right? Not to be duplicitous, but because you're on your way someplace else. You have to be able to think about the next station. I think when you're working at your current job, you should give them everything that you can. You should be there for them now, in the present. But you want to be thinking about the future. And that's why you should be friending 10 people a day on LinkedIn. First thing when you get up in the morning, you got your coffee or your smoothie, whatever, you're on LinkedIn and you're friending 10 people every day to build your network, because you never know when these people are going to be useful to you, and vice versa. You will be useful to them. Most people reach out to mentors when you need them. And it's too late. It's too late. Because then you have to introduce yourself. Then they have to warm to you. Then you have to get an appointment. Then you have to get the second coffee. And it takes too long. So it's better to get it going now. And it's never been easier to meet people than online in groups like this, on LinkedIn. In fact, if you're multitasking right now, I suspect you're pulling up LinkedIn so that you can friend me, because I would be happy to be your mentor. But we have to be connected. I have to know you. I have to appreciate you. I have to have a communication channel, right? And right now, without that connection on LinkedIn, this is a radio broadcast, and we are gone to each other right after this program. We've got to find that way, that communication channel to work for us. So you're thinking about your next job, and here's a big aha for you, that your next mentor is likely to be somebody you haven't met yet. That's something to think about. The person that's going to introduce you to your next job is someone you haven't yet met. Wow. One fast way to speed that up is to start meeting more people faster. So how do you build your network fast? We talked about friending 10 people a day on LinkedIn. By the way, LinkedIn is the only platform, some of you will know this, give me a thumbs up if you know it. I don't want to talk too far below where you're at on social. But did you know that LinkedIn is the only platform where you can search the name, the industry, the company, and even the title of the person? So let's say you just want a friend, you want to get into sales. Yeah, a couple of people know that. Good. Thank you, Catherine and Kathleen. If you want to friend people in sales because you're going to get into the sales trade, you can just start friending people on LinkedIn in sales. You go to your province in Canada, right? And you type in your province and you type in sales, and they just line up for you like, just start clicking, man. And here's something that's interesting about people. People will move towards you if they don't think you want something all the time. So it's important that when you reach out to say hello, you don't say, "Hi, Mark, I need a mentor." Right? But because human beings they want to know what's in it for them. And it sounds selfish to say this, but people are basically selfish. Yeah, and I say this even as a Rotarian, and I give thousands and thousands of hours of free talks like this, right? I've got a pretty good keynote fee these days, and I don't charge Rotary for it. So I know what it's like to give stuff back. I am both selfless and selfish. I get hit up a lot for people offering this friendly offer to, quote, pick my brain. It's an interesting analogy. I mean, just get the image in your head. Someone's going to pick your brain, but it's an old school kind of a thing. And every time somebody says, "I just want to pick your brain," I'm like, "Great. What do I get out of it?" "Oh yeah, I get my brain picked." Here's the secret. If you compliment people first, they're warmer to you. And it sounds, gimmicky to do that, or it sounds maybe artificial. Of course he knows I'm just giving him a compliment, but compliments work. So when you reach out to Debbie on LinkedIn, you say, "Debbie, I hear great things about you. Congratulations on all your success." And then you ask her to accept your LinkedIn friendship. And if she accepts it, later you try to get to know her better. "I admire you. I'm interested in learning about the industry. Do you think we might be able to grab a quick 10-minute Zoom call?" You see? But if you ask for the Zoom call too early, it won't work. So the compliment is a very nice way to get people to warm to you. I mentioned the phone earlier, guys, as a way to reach out. There's a thing in sales, and I've been teaching sales training for a long time now. So if you are getting into the sales trade, I'm the perfect guy for you to talk to. By the way, I'm posting some links into chat of free stuff that you can sign up for. There's a leadership ebook, a couple of Facebook groups, one to help you with your speaking and presentation skills. They're all free. And there's a marketing group called Get the Word Out Now. This is for Rotarians and Rotaractors who want to grow Rotary. It's actually marketing tips for anybody, but there's a lot of Rotarians in the group. And then my newsletter, which is the Friday 5. So what I'm getting at here with the phone is that in sales, there's a thing called call reluctance. And all salespeople suffer from it because nobody wants to make that call because, and you can open up your mics and answer this if you want or type it in. Why do you think people have call reluctance? Do any of you know? Why don't people want to make phone calls these days? I'll wait for your answer. Fear of rejection. Lori Brown got it. Absolutely correct. Nobody likes to be rejected. So if I don't call you, you can't reject me. So I won't call you because I hate rejection. You with me? And it's even worse now, I'm noticing, with the younger generations. Not just your generation, the generation above you, older than you, the generation younger than most of you. We've stopped using the telephone because texting is sexy, right? And easy. And I can't get rejected as much if I text you, right? Or Facebook message you, right? But if I call you, you might not return my call, and that's going to hurt. So I won't call you. And it's so bad, everybody, that it's now moving throughout all of the ages. Like even older people, 50, 60-year-old people, they'll text you now before they call you. And they say, "Is it okay to call?" 20 years ago, we didn't do that. We just called the person. Here's why this is important. Every time you introduce something that could stall the relationship, that could keep you from getting to know people faster, you slow down the odds of connecting with mentors. So you're just putting barricades in your way by not reaching out, by not calling people, by not reaching out first. For a long time now, and I've got a ton of videos on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, I talk about something called the perfect handshake. And part of the perfect handshake is that the person who reaches out first has influence in any interaction. Now, this may not mean anything to you now since we've essentially been in a pandemic for a year, but we're eventually going to go back to physical meetings and shaking hands. And I promise you, the person who walks across the room and says hello to somebody has influence in that interaction. But most people at the Chamber of Commerce reception don't do that. They wait, or they only talk to people they already know. So this is a real skill, everybody. Yeah, thanks for the comments. Blythe says, hang-ups, no answers as concerns of telemarketers. It comes from that. I think there's some of that for sure. What happens is I think you have to just develop a thick skin, that I don't care if you don't call me back. It's not going to keep me from trying to reach you. And I'm not going to call you forever. I'll just call you twice. And then I'll realize you don't want to talk to me. But it's a numbers game, right? Sales is a numbers game. Finding a mentor is a numbers game. And if you don't do it, if you don't do the numbers, you're never going to connect with the people that you need to connect to. Unfortunately, it's just the way it goes. So phone calls, pick up the phone and call people. Also, I want to talk about something called the 6 degrees of separation. I'm pretty sure all of you know about this by now. Thumbs up if you know the 6 degrees. Some people call it the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Right. It's the idea that somebody that you know knows somebody else, right? And here's what I've seen over and over again. A lot of people want mentors. The one easy reason you want mentors is because if you have people looking after you, when it's time for you to find a job, you can just tell them you're looking for work and then they'll find you a job. Pretty cool, right? But again, human psychology, we work against ourselves. You want to have some fun, Google the cognitive biases. They were discovered by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. There are about 150 of these things. And these are like psychological axioms that cause human beings to work against themselves. It's fascinating how we work against ourselves. And so the 6 degrees thing says, well, I'm out of work and I should contact a bunch of people because you probably know somebody who knows somebody that can connect me to a job. But I don't want to tell you that I'm out of work. We see this all the time. People are unemployed and they won't tell you they're unemployed. And I'm exactly the guy that can help them because I got such a kick-ass Rolodex. And when the truth finally comes out, I said, why don't you tell me? Oh, I don't know. I was embarrassed. I was just living with it for a while. I've got some money in the bank. It always takes longer to find the job than you want it to. Let's get the wagon train moving, everybody. So when you do talk to somebody that you really want to connect with, it's really important what happens in the first 15 seconds. And I've been teaching for some time now a technique called the reverse presentation. Please write it down. Reverse presentation works like this. If I need something from you and I call you, it's natural for me to just launch into what I want. Think about a salesperson. Can I contact you? Can I come to see you so I can give you my presentation about my company so I can sell you something and I can make a commission? Do you hear all that I, me? And that's how I start. And then later I might say, oh, enough about me. Tell me about yourself. It's backwards, right? It should be the other way. How long have you been working here? What is the key to your success? What's the first thing you do in the morning? How many hours do you work a day? How many hours do you sleep at night? I want to learn about you. I want to model successful people, and I think you're very successful. And you get them to talk about themselves, and you ingratiate yourself with that potential mentor. Really important. Well, and there's another problem here. You're right, she is very busy. So what she's doing is what's called a cost-benefit analysis. Do I have a half hour to talk to, and what's that going to cost me versus not doing this project that I'm working on? What's that going to cost me? I better do my project. Right. So one of the tricks for moving yourself up in priority with these people is to offer to do something for them. Because your time as a young person may be less valuable than their time. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Mm-hmm. But if the person that's mentoring you is making $150 an hour and you're making $25 an hour, their time is more valuable. So what do you do? And again, you're in that ingratiation stage, look at me, look at me. We're all attention merchants. So you say, listen, I know how super busy you are. I don't expect you to just drop everything and talk to me for half an hour. What can I do for you that will buy you some time so that you can talk to me? Because they all know what an intern is. They all know what an admin is, a VA, and so do you. Now, you might have to work 5 hours to get that 30 minutes, but if it's valuable intel, I used to meet speakers on the road, guys, and I don't know how much you know about my depth and breadth of work, but I've been around a little bit. I've spoken on 5 continents, 49 of the 50 states. I've done some really cool gigs. And part of it is I would meet speakers on the road and I would ask them for tips. And a lot of times the speakers would say, like one time a speaker said to me, like we both had, like, I don't know, say we're in Sacramento, California at a gig, right, a hotel. And I got to rent a car and I'm going to be headed, to where I'm going. And he's headed to the airport. And he goes, I can talk to you if you can take me to the airport. First time that happened, I'm like, bloody hell, I don't want to take you to the airport. And then it occurred to me who I was talking to, my hero, right? I picked up Anthony Robbins at the airport one time. And it was at midnight. And he kept me waiting till 2 o'clock in the morning because he flew in on his private airplane, and he's running late, right? Because he's Anthony Robbins. And it was worth it, man. He's Anthony Robbins. So you're going to do some stuff that may not seem like it's a good trade, but you're going to get access. And that access gets you that relationship. And the relationship then pays dividends later on, I promise you. I promised you also in this call, networking techniques. I've said already, you got to be the one to reach out first and you got to keep reaching out, whether you're getting rejected or not. Just because you're not getting a call back doesn't mean they don't like you. It just means you're not getting a call back. And if they're not returning the call, hit them up on LinkedIn because they'll answer LinkedIn. And the cell phone is the holy grail. If you can get the cell phone, you can text them. And they're more likely to respond to texts, just like every other human being on the planet. I also said, connect with people without wanting anything. And I mean it. If it ever seems like you're contacting them just so you can use them, they will terminate the relationship as fast as you can say Jack Robinson. They'll be gone. And then the third technique is be helpful. Because when you're helpful, they understand you're coming from a good place. You're a good person. You're generous. You're a resource for them. Not, on a P&L statement in accounting, there's a thing called the balance sheet, right? There's assets and liabilities. Are you an asset to the person or are you a liability? Present yourself very clearly as an asset and they will give you that time. Let's open up for some Q&A and see what's on your mind. I'll answer questions about your specific situation, general stuff, anything you want. I'm an open book. And I'll give you 3 ideas for this, and you probably do some of them now. It is important that they don't feel spammed. So you know how these people send at Christmas time, they send this thing to everybody they know about what happened for them during the year. And it's like, you don't feel special at all because they photocopied this thing and they sent it to 100 people. It's very obvious. So you're glad for the update, but it doesn't do anything to enrich the relationship. And you never want to be that person. So personal messages, and it's easier than other on mobile now to do that through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through Instagram. The most famous, well-known people are on Twitter. They're not on Facebook. And if you hashtag on Twitter and follow them on Twitter and comment to their stuff on Twitter, they will start to pay attention to you. I do a podcast, and all of my big shot friends that did the podcast, musicians, famous musicians that are on the road and stuff, I got them all through Twitter. And people say, I don't want to be on Twitter. It's not for me. Well, you're not doing it. You're not getting on Twitter because you like it. You're getting on Twitter because everybody else likes it. The famous people like it. That would be the good reason to sign up. Another technique I use all the time is D&D. So I'm in the car and I'll dial and then I drive. It's always safe, right? Hands-free. And I dial up the person and then I'm driving. And then if I get voicemail, I'm driving and I leave the voicemail. And if they pick up, I'm talking and I'm driving, right? But every time I get in the car, I call somebody. I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to the same song I listened to on the last 10 times I got in the car, like my playlist. And I'm a musician, former musician. So I really love music. But I also know that the car time, especially that first few minutes, is a chance for me to connect with somebody. So that's another technique that I use. Finally, I think that you should establish a database. I don't care how you do it, a spreadsheet or Constant Contact or what's another one? Survey Monkey, any of these, of the most important people in your life, people you want to keep in touch with. And every holiday, just do it at the holidays, because nobody wants it. If you send them a Happy New Year, you didn't want anything, right? You're just wishing them a Happy New Year. And it's like one of those, and you have to be careful how you word it so it doesn't seem spammy. And you say, listen, I've been thinking about you, and I wish we had had more time this year. Let's do better this year. Let's also try to jump on a call here soon and reconnect and get to know each other better, whatever the message is. And that way you're touching them. So that's that light touch that you're talking about, right? I think most people err on the other side of it. They have a light touch, but it ends up not being any touch at all because it's not substantial or it's not frequent enough, right? And then they forget about you. Hopefully that's helpful. You got to fly into their airspace. You're not in their airspace. So one way to do that is to follow them on all the platforms. Find them on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you follow them. If you get them to friend you, all the better. And you get them to friend you with a compliment. I really admire, do it in front of everybody. I love to do this on Facebook. I'll put it on their timeline. I really admire you. And I wish more people were like you. Thanks so much for all you do for the industry, right? On their timeline. And it forces them to comment, because if they don't, they look like they're rude, right? So it's a conversation that happens right out in the open, but it gets them to acknowledge me, and it doesn't have to be public. I just want them to acknowledge me because I'm trying to build something here, but I do it in public because then it kind of forces their hand. Then the trick is you find out what's important to them. Maybe they're posting about church all the time, or they're posting about sports, or they're posting about their kids. You got to be careful not to seem like a stalker, and you want to avoid things like politics and incendiary topics. If it's on LinkedIn, it's going to be more about business. If it's on Instagram, it's going to be more about vacation and photo trophies and stuff like that. I try to make small talk big. So the big three in small talk are sports, weather, and traffic. And I don't talk about any of those with people if I only have a short time with you. If you ask me about them, I'll answer, and then I'll segue into something else. In media courses, they talk the technique's called bridging. I'll answer your question, and then I'm going to take you someplace else pretty quickly. But usually I'm the one that initiates it. The line is really long, but I turn to the person behind me, and I don't say the line sure is long. I'll say something like, if it's a line for concert tickets, I'll say, what other kind of music do you like? I know you like this kind of music. What other kind of music do you like? What other bands do you like? Maybe you can give me a tip. So I open it up to something that seems more useful or more interesting than small talk. So make the small talk big. I'm so impressed with the quality of the communication on the call tonight. You all have a bright future. And feel free to reach out to me anytime on the social channels that we talked about tonight. Just choose your favorite one and we'll be buddies there, okay?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Michael. I know that on behalf of the committee, we wanted to thank you for your time as well. I think in one of my posts on the Facebook page, we talked about the value of this conversation that we had with you tonight, and the fact that, thanks to you, we were able to offer it to everybody for free, but in reality, the value is priceless. And thank you again. And I would encourage everyone to check out the social links that Lori's posted in the chat that will bring people to you, because I have seen some pretty amazing content on your social feeds as well, which is great to continue a connection with you going forward too. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Good night, everybody. Thank you for all you're doing and all you're about to do. I'll see you down the road, okay?
Thanks, Michael.
Bye.